school. My brother in the bush are shooting gun. I know who is shooting. Whether the enemy or the brother, I don't know. So I beg you, if I don't want to go water today, because today I don't go water, tomorrow I fire go, tomorrow I fire go, then tomorrow I better go. If I don't better go, then I plastic bed. Mama want to go to school, I die outside in plastic bag. Papa want to go to school, I die outside in plastic bag. Yeah. When I land my boat, I will help you, mama. Oh. When I go to school, I will help you, papa. Oh. Papa want to go to school.
Or Zone 5 Police Station. My name is Arlington Mengi. Welcome you to this edition of the program. On today's edition, the County Education Officer of Nimba, Honorable Moses Dologbe, is going to be our guest. And today's topic, of course, is the resumption of schools in the face of COVID-19. What are measures to be taken? What are questions that parents are asking? What are concerns from community dwellers? And most importantly, what is the government doing? Or what are the schools doing to make sure that students learn under a safe environment? All these questions are going to hopefully be answered here today when we host the County Education Officer of Nimba, Honorable Moses Dologbe, on the program. Just before we take our guests, let's look at some of the things that are involved in resuming schools at this time. Because as we the COVID-19 pandemic has taken a devastating toll on countries around the world. Health systems disrupting children's education and leaving millions of families struggling to make ends meet. And it is also having additional knock-on effects that are putting children's life at risk, including in Liberia. Liberia was declared free of polio in 2008, but now that many of these programs are resuming, vaccinators are facing new problems in addition to the usual logistical ones. Convincing parents to allow their children be vaccinated amidst the pandemic that has seen an explosion of misinformation about these vaccines. Today in Liberia, the COVID-19 has hit hard, and of this program, the 1st of November 1 this year, schools are going to be reopening. Because of this, parents have been asking series of questions. Some of those questions are, how are we sure that our children will be safe as they go to school? Now, in the midst of the economic hardships that parents are faced with in Liberia, questions about the safety of their kids now, arises when they talk about the resumption of schools. On this program today, we are also hoping that you can follow us live, share this video, and make comments about what you think needs to be done as our children go back to school. They are going to be in the midst of other children from different homes whose health habits we don't have control over. They are going to be going to schools where we're not sure how many instructors are keeping the health protocols. Lots of things are happening that we are not aware of when we have gone to work and sent our children to those schools. Therefore, it is our hope that on this program, Education Today, we are going to unearth all the answers that parents are looking for. Hopefully, when we join our guests. In the meantime, there have been research made about schools resuming during this pandemic. And so there's a particular one that I'm going to draw our attention to. It's a research that I discovered a couple of days ago that schools are going to open some days and very soon. Therefore, it is natural for parents to worry about the start of this school year during the COVID-19 pandemic. It can seem like there are no good options. If your children has the opportunity to attend school in person, you may have a valid fear of the virus affecting your children or other members of your household. The alternative remote learning has had varied success for children, and it can leave a hole in students' social lives. In between measure, some days in school and some learning at home have the positives and both negatives. Therefore, on the school during this academic, where there are fear of COVID-19. We are also going to be looking at some of the positives, the negatives that are involved. There is your schedule also to consider as a parent. Apart from you worrying about COVID, there's also your schedule to consider. If you work, how will you make time for your children's need and the requirements of your job? Balancing work and family has been difficult already before the pandemic. It can feel close to impossible. So when you think about it now, it feels like it's not just possible. Experience that challenge in the spring, let's say during the break, when the children were staying home, you have to, find somebody to give them their home lessons, find somebody to give them attention while you are away. Now they're going among people's other families' children, and you're not sure. You're thinking about making that effort for another school year and being, a daunting prospect. Both planning for a new school year and your work life balancing act are made more difficult by the uncertainties that accompany COVID-19. Your child's school may reopen for in-person classes this November 1, like we said, but will it close again when teachers or staff or students are tested positive for the virus on campuses? It becomes a decision for the parent to make, not just the school alone, because I want my child to go to school, which is a simple fact. What happens when, like I said, a teacher, a staff member, a student gets tested positive for the virus while on campus? Are we then going to close schools again? Is that what it means? What does it mean exactly for us as Liberians, as Africans? Other places around us, the children are going to school. We have to see and learn from those people what they've been doing differently. Therefore, as our schools resume, it is upon us as parents to also emulate those examples as our children resume schools. Because the fear is the reason why schools were closed in the first place is because COVID-19, people started testing positive in schools for the virus. Therefore, schools were closed halfway. It affected mostly parents who have their students or children taking the national and international examinations. And so today, in our country, there have been health protocols put into place for people to follow so that we can be safe. So the question is, are the schools going to follow those protocols closely? How effective are they going to be in following the health protocols? Who monitors those schools? Those are questions that we are hoping that our guest today, Honorable Moses Dologwe, who is the County Education Officer for NIMA, is going to be helping us to answer. This is the reason why we are also throwing this out to you as our viewers, as parents watching on the program. As you're following us, we also want to know your thoughts. We want to know what you feel or what you think about this subject, because it seems to me like there are several concerns. If you go into the various communities and do a check now and ask parents about how they're faring as the schools are reopening, we have done that partly in some communities. And the major concern is what becomes of the children when another child or a student in the school or a teacher, a staff member of the school gets tested positive for the virus. What happens then? It means we have registered, pay about 50 to 60% of our child or children's tuition, but then the school have to close again. What becomes of the funds we pay? What becomes of the next academic? These are questions that parents are concerned over. We are hoping that on this program this evening, we are going to answer those questions. We have so many education professionals that are following, education experts that are following this program. On the first edition of the program, you listen to Mr. Morrison T. Morris, who is one of Liberia's finest education professional. He's also following this program today, and we are hoping that we can also have his opinion on the matter. And as we go along, we are going to also have some words from other education experts in Liberia who will be making their comments through this platform. And just to let you know, we are also broadcasting live on radio platform, as you may know, that we in partnership with here in our main studio in Monrovia, like Pinsville, outside Monrovia. So if you're also watching us here, it means that those of you who are on public radio, you also see us simulcasting there also. So many thanks to our viewers for joining. Many thanks for those of you making your comments. Armstrong Brown, he says that I'm watching live from Cyprus, Europe. Thanks for the topic on the discussion, bro. Hey, Armstrong, good to have you here. And also, we're hoping that more of you can send your comments in, as we hope to be reading your comments live. But before we bring in our guests, let's take a short break and let's go for commercials. For our first commercial break, when we come back, we hope to be joining our guests. Stay tuned.
So it is so true.
My husband.
Firstly, you looking tired. Sit down here.
Yeah, I got something serious to tell you. Let me sit down.
What do you say?
Yeah, my whole banner is hurting. My husband. Our old people can say that small sheep is better than big sheep.
What are you trying to say?
The thing I want to tell you here, you know our son Giombo. You and myself, our Giombo. You know that he was one of those plenty people that was chosen to go outside Liberia, to the women land. Now not only to go for training, but to also come back to the scene Liberia here and do the same way. For poor people like you and myself, that the way I'm looking at you, so you not get nothing.
What thing again?
Myself, I not get nothing.
What thing again?
For our son to just be taking that go first.
That bro.
Then the big man that in front of that whole scholarship in it. I mean, that big man that working to the big place man they call the Aselo or Aselo.
They call that place Asylum Metal.
Aselo Meta. That is there. The man that in front of that whole scholarship in it. He number 2.
Okay.
So me, I was just thinking that I can go to a house because I think he living in the community. I can see him passing here every day. It will be good for us to go to him to go say thank you. Now not to only say thank you, but the small cold water will carry it will say, Papa, thank you for the good thing what you not do for our family. Me na I was thinking also. So how you look at it, Papa?
I agree with you.
Eh.
Well, the old people then.
Welcome back to Education Today. And like I said, today we are discussing the resumption of school in the face of COVID-19. And our guest today is Honorable Moses Dologbe, the County Education Officer of Nimba. Since he's all the way there in Nimba and having difficulties with connecting to the internet to be live on this broadcast, we have managed to have Mr. Dologbe on the phone. He's going to be talking to us via cell phone. So good evening, sir, and to Education Today on D9 TV and Public Radio.
All right, good evening, our Parent Teacher Association, the administration of all public and private schools, and our citizen also in Riverland this evening.
Okay, thank you.
As we said earlier at the time, my name is Moses S. Dologbe, and the County Education Officer for Liberia County School System. For the COVID-19 for the government program when it comes to education sector, we want to implore the government of the Republic of Liberia, led by His Excellency Dr. George Manawia, through the able Minister Professor D. Ansusoni, Minister Prata, and all the able balanced administration. We are working in line that we will not be pressing the parents when it comes to fees payment.
Okay.
On this note, from grade 1 to grade 6, will be paying 1,000 Nigerian dollars. Returning to grade 9, 2,000 Nigerian dollars. Grade 10 to 12, 3,000 Nigerian dollars. And this money will be managed by the school system of Nema, and is duly 100% is even going back to the school system for maintenance and other work for professional volunteer teachers that will be working in the school, and all the support staff that will be there, and also precaution measure for the COVID-19.
Okay, thank you.
On that, the government, through our logistic techniques with the government, federal government, they are making available 20,000 scholarships for the Liberia school system.
Wow.
And for which government will be responsible to pay that money in the cover of the school system. So in that same vein, we are also looking at the 360 scholarships for tertiary students in the county and all across the community colleges in Lima and also in other counties.
Okay,
so we are working closely that parents will also be having the opportunity to send their children to school, and there is a special program we call the Gender Equity Program, which will be taking into consideration special arrangements for girl children, so that they will also be able to catch up with people, so that we will have that application or gender balance we have when it comes to education performance.
Okay, so Mr. Dolobe, we just want to hold you there a little bit and just ask you some of the questions. In fact, questions that concern parents have been having as we open school or resume school for this academic year. One of those questions is, what have the ministry through your office put into place in the county for children who are resuming in school to be safe as it relates to the COVID-19? That's one. Secondly,
what we are put in place?
Yes, what are measures that have been put into place to keep the children safe in school?
Okay, we have divided 688 hand washing stations before that. And this particular hand washing station is movement, is movable to one location that people will wash their hands when you are in class, and there will be soap from those 15 to 18, those hand washing stations for preventive measures. And where I was going is that right now we have 1,560 prepared chairs in Liberia County for distribution. So we just waiting because they grow on the city. We have even in Ghana, we have like 200 plus chairs prepared for the school system there, and this is just a 50% of the chairs that are supposed to be prepared before we come. Speaking, all the 45 volunteer teachers, the employed teachers, are also vetted. We started the training yesterday, and it's the second day. So we are verifying teachers who have reached the retirement age, and also verifying volunteer teachers who are tirelessly working in collaboration with the community, so that whenever they are qualified, giving us a defined, then they will be able to automatically replace those who are retired, so that we don't have that gap when it comes to instruction.
Okay, so those are all things that sound, very good and interesting to the ears of parents. I'm a parent. I have children going to school. One other concern that we also want you to comment on briefly, Mr. Dolobe, is that what happens when the children are in school then maybe a member of the staff in the school or another student is tested positive of the virus. Are you going to close school again? If so, what becomes of the fees that parents have paid, or what exactly is going to be done when that happens?
As I told you and myself, we did have education inside. We are put into place, as I said earlier, the phone that later to you will be controlled by the content approved from the ministry based on reputation from the principals. So nobody coming to say we're waiting for central or ministry to save money for us. So if we want so, we will have it. But now, most of the time when they say school closed, when you close the school, the children are not in case of any precaution. That is not something that we can be looking at. The children in the community, they are moving, they may not be using masks. But when we are in school, the administration will compare students to wash their hands and also wear the mask the more suitable way.
Okay.
Which they are also guided by those professions, especially the primary, junior secondary, and senior secondary teachers.
The hand wash station that you have distributed to the various schools in the county, are there plans, or what are plans to extend this to other schools? Because I'm very sure that they were not able to go across the county to every school in every district and town in Nimba alone.
That's good. Based on that, we are waiting for the draft season. As we speak, can't have it go to Saturday, and we got bulk of our people there. So even if you load tears now together to Saturday, you will just be waiting your time for me or someone to be shining on it. So that gets the effort. So those who coming, we are already working out that schools that will not be having the one station, they will also be preparing a station for them while they are in school.
So this academic year, school year is about to resume on November 1. What exactly have you done differently from last school year, especially with the district education officers and those principals for public schools?
Okay, now we are training 80% of our teachers right now as we speak in Uganda, and we send less than 800 teachers or administrators to Zozo. They just got trained for almost 4 weeks, and they are back. And we are distributed robots and ledger, chalk, and other instructional material needed to our people prior to the opening. So if there are some schools that you may think that they are not reached there, meaning it is a challenge road or rural region which is reached to them when the name is actually available for us to reach them.
Mr. Dologwe, honor your leadership as the county education officer. What are some of the infrastructural developments that you have recorded or that you have worked on with this current government, to make the education system or the learning system in Nimba a suitable one?
Thank you. During our government, we love it with the World Bank. We have a program we call the ARAS program, which is the improving result in secondary education. So about 22 of our senior secondary schools in Nimba County benefiting from the school grade of from 55,000 down to 25,000. And most of our school system now, especially the secondary school are talking about affairs and with a well developed and well painted and controlled campus. So besides that, working with all international organizations, the community development services, all methods, we are constructed for teachers launch at the Catholic school. We have renovated completely and usually leaders. So, and we're trying to, because of the connection for people to move from other end to another. This is one of the factors that we look at that is scaring the school system and the learning process back. So we have recruited qualified volunteers, especially with degree holder, and upgrading most of our schools in neighbors. Where you have a grade is an example. We got SK2 in Party is the example. Okay. We have Jotre. Then we also have Ghana Glade. I like the way we have a selected school in Lontu. Okay. These are some of the things that we are doing. Until after you people will be telling us before we give a learning. So we are loving, and it's only based on accurate that presentation. So the national panels will be fully in. I like that. I like the way you are very specific with the information and with the location of the information you're giving. One thing we also want to know from you, Mr. Adolobe, is that you usually conduct training for school administrators, for teachers, getting them from one place to another, and sometimes it creates problem in providing lodging for them. Before we move to other teachers' issue that we want to talk about briefly, can you tell us we've been receiving information that there's a guest house project on our construction. Can you comment on that and give us some details? Okay, the guest house under construction is about 15 self-contained guest house, and it's built out of 100% concrete. We are talking about house that carries about 75 bottles of beer, and the conference hall can accommodate not less than 500 participants. So this project is a very huge project that we're doing here, lobbying with the Parent Teacher Association in collaboration with the school board system, and working with teachers. We were able to get a little amount of $100 Nigerian per student delivered with them managing the school. So we are nearing completion. We're working now on the ceiling and the door frame, and also doing the window bags and other things. So we love it with government so that they can come, because the parents themselves, because of the COVID-19, they are financially challenged. Okay, we are going to get into more detail with that project a little bit later on the program. But before we do that, let us hear from you, Mr. Adolobe. There has been some sticky issues in the Liberian school system or the education system over the years that has to do with teachers that are working for the government but are not yet on government payroll. What are plans to put them on payroll, and what are preparation for those teachers to now feel satisfied so that we can keep seeing protest after protest, go slow action after go slow action? There will be no go slow action, because we are put into place those strategies that they themselves will look at, and they are benefiting. Just before this year, we have about 300 teachers that have been employed through the volunteer listing. So this particular parliamentary that they have to spend 30 days in Nema, they will also be considering the verification of volunteer teachers. So most of the time, those rural regions, to expand people is the challenge that we have. So what we are working out with the central area is that there should be an incentive that to encourage what we call full factors in education. That will be people will be encouraged that when they say you are a son to Brino, for example, or you are a son to DKFA, there should be all incentive outside of the salary that government is giving to you, so that we had a full factor in the rural area. Then we had the quality of education and the free flow of education in that direction. But it's not an event. It is a process. It is a plan through reporting channel that people are looking at it. So right now, what you're telling us is that if we have approximately 60 to 70
5 teachers working for the government and they are not on salary. There are mechanisms into place now that will have them having a little bit of income, even though they are not on salary by government, so that they will not have issues with that.
Now the correction with the principal and the parent teacher association will come to tell us that we have this person and the person is qualified. Since getting on government payroll is not automatic, and we already saw the person document is in, will be compensating that person with additional money while government is protecting the person's document. That is the thinking we've been doing. Most of our volunteers been doing, and most of them coming on payroll, and at 2 or 3 months, they will come on national payroll.
Okay, so that means gradually you putting people on payroll, thereby reducing the number of unpaid teachers in the school system in Nimba. Is that what you said?
Surely.
What has been your working relationship personally as the county education officer with the schools in the county? And maybe you can give us the total number of public schools you're controlling currently.
We have about 447 public schools in Nimba. The total number of schools in Nimba, faith-based, community-based, public school, private schools, in that category, we got like 702 schools in Nimba.
What have been your working relationship with those 700 schools, 700 plus schools?
Where you will not evaluate yourself, but you see when you have 2 empty drums, and you fill one with 10, and the other one will be empty. If you not stick on that drum with the sand and the one without sand, you will hear noise, which of the make sound. So as you see, since we've been here for the past few days, we know that there is no rioting. We are not being called. You don't see teachers blocking road for any other people because we give them a clear insight of what is happening. So we meet with them on a periodic basis. The DEO will meet with them, we meet with principals. So anything that is happening in the education sector, they are aware.
Okay. This is very good and welcoming. Let us now go a little bit backward to the project that we were discussing, Mr. Dolobin. What is the location of the project, and if the project finishes, how can people access it? Is it going to be paid for? Is it not going to be paid for? And who controls the funding?
The project when completed and dedicated by the ministry, it will be there for education profession. That is, if you are in the field of education and you are going to Senegal, you will not go to all of get out to pay that. You have your biometric ID card, you have valid any ID card for education. You will show it, and a minimum for maintaining those who will be taking it, you can have a good loss.
Okay. And where is it? Where is it located?
It's right behind the education compound. We are already giving Astra Meta a proposal to face the entire compound of the education system in Senegal. So anytime after you are in Senegal, after you get down, you got to photo it so that you yourself can market it so people can help us in that direction.
Okay, Mr. Dologwe, let's just hold you there for a few seconds. Well, folks, if you...
Without holding me for a few seconds, I have 4% as a...
Oh, okay.
No, that's it on the battery. So
okay.
Anytime people go on, I may call it off.
Okay, yeah, sure, thank you. So, well, if you're just joining us online, you're listening to the voice of Mr. Moses M. Dologwe. He is the County Education Officer for Nimba. Mr. Dologwe is on the line with us this evening on the program Education Today on Nimba D9 TV and Liberia Public Radio Online TV. So many thanks to you for joining us. As we go along, we'll be getting more out of this program right here on the Nimba D9 TV platform. Okay, so Mr. Dologwe, finally, before we don't want to exhaust all your current, but just before we leave you, can you tell us, as schools are about to open, today is the 29th, which means we just have roughly less than 4 days to go to school resuming. What are going to be your expectations? What do you expect from the public schools as we also enter this year's school as it relates to public tests and things like that? Because in the past in Nimba there have not been very bad results, but the results have not been too good. So you talk about training teachers, you talk about training.
Even a child school, 78 or 9, always 35, because you expect more up, but we have 48 full high schools in Nimba. Out of the 48, 42 make a very excellent pass in the worldwide. And the result for YS for 18% pass, this year we are in 35. And Nimba is in the position of second place. Okay. So we know that education result is very slow. You know, when you pay, let's say, what we call the get out is physical. But what we also look at is the result. If you send a child to me, and the child from A, B, C, K1, K2, and it's in second grade or first grade, that result can come very slow. So that one happening. But where we stand now is not like before. And we are not denying people from going to school. Government is paying even up to 9th grade YSC this year. Okay. And we have 20,000 students also to assist. So out of that 20,000, we simply have its own group of people who will be working in that direction.
Okay. Okay. This is all good news to us, and we want to say thank you for providing this information to us, Mr. Dulbe, especially so to the audience. And like I said, the major concern now is, are schools going to close when any student or staff member is tested positive, and what becomes of the parents then?
Right now, from our decision like outside the National Public Health Institute of Liberia, in collaboration with Ministry of Education and Ministry of Health, whenever such things we do not pray for to happen, to occur in any of our institutions, that particular school will be closed down. Okay. That particular school, not all the schools in Nimba will be closed down until precaution measures will be put into place until we get a very fruitful result before the result. It is first on the floor.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Dogbe. Is there anything else you want to say that we've not asked you so far on the program?
Oh, you will not ask me to tell you thank you. You will use your credit, which I don't even know how many minutes we talk for, to disseminate positive information to the audience in Liberia at large when it comes to education matter in Nimba County. So on behalf of the County School Board, the PTA Association, National PTA Association, and Principal Association, and the auxiliary of education stakeholders, we say thank you, Dina TV family, for the opportunity you are giving us at this time.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Dulbe. We'll take leave of you. Hopefully, we'll have more of this kind of conversation in subsequent broadcasts right here on Nimba Dina TV.
Thank you. You're welcome also.
Oh, okay. The voice of the County Education Officer of Nimba County, Honorable Moses M. Dulbe. He was joining us via mobile phone from Ganta, Nimba County, where there's a heavy pull down of rain. According to him, he traveled from Sanikole to Ganta within a space of 30 minutes and met the heavy downpour of rain, so he couldn't join us on the video on the live this evening, but we were able to have him online. However, so we're doing all we can to bring you the kind of information you need as our schools are about to resume few days from now. So many thanks for those of you joining us. Keep your comments coming and continue to share this live broadcast right here today on Education Today with me, Arlington Megley, also live on the Liberia Public Radio TV. So at this junction, we'll take a break. and go for another commercial. When we come back, we'll be wrapping up right here on the program. Stay tuned.
Look at my music today. All the honesty, I don't know they can't let go. Or should be lost for them. They all need to go to school. I want to go to school. I die as I am that same way. Yeah. No. I want to go to school. I die as you can go. Okay, no.
I know it. This is new. Who knew? This is my brother.
Kageo, 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 Mieme, Kageo, 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 Mieme.
My husband.
Firstly, you looking tired. Sit down here.
Yeah, I got something serious to tell you. Let me sit down.
What do you say?
Yeah, my whole banner is hurting. My husband. Our old people can say that small shin is better than big shin.
What are you trying to say?
The thing I want to tell you here, you know our son Giombo. You and myself, our Giombo. You know that he was one of those plenty people that was chosen to go outside Liberia to the women lane. Now not only to go for training, but to also come back to the scene Liberia here and do the same way. For poor people like you and myself, that the way I'm looking at you, so you not get nothing.
What do you get?
Myself, I not get nothing.
What do you get?
For our son to just be taking tell that go first.
That bro.
Then the big man that in front of that whole scholarship in it. I mean, that big man that working to that big place man they call the Aselo Aselo.
They call that place Aselo Metal.
Aselo Metal. That is there. The man that in front of that whole scholarship in it. He number 2.
Okay.
So me, I was just thinking that I can go to a house because I think he living in the community. I can see him passing here every day. It will be good for us to go to him to go say thank you. Now not to only say thank you, but the small cold water will carry it will say, Papa, thank you for the good thing what you not do for our family. Me now I was thinking also. So how you look at it, Papa?
I agree with you.
Eh.
Well, the old people then.
Capital And today is Friday. You're listening to the second edition of Education Today on Nima G9 TV, live and Liberia Public Radio. So, folks, today we'll be in conversation with the education officer of Nimba County, Honorable Moses M. Dulogbe. He has been answering some of those critical questions that parents have been asking all along. And one of those questions have been, what if a parent, in fact, a student or member of the staff, a teaching staff, was sick and was tested positive of the COVID-19? Are they going to close schools again everywhere and allow parents to pay their money for that time, whereas the children will not be in school? And the answer he gave was that when that situation, which they're not praying for, happens, the ministry, along with Enfield, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health, have put into place a protocol whereby when that happens, they will close that particular school for that moment until they are able to sort out the root cause of that problem and try to solve it. But they're not going to close all schools in Liberia like it used to be, or like the first time, as thing happened first in Liberia, there were fear among people, among citizens, because we witnessed the Ebola virus and we know what happened. So there were fears when the COVID-19 hit Liberia, and so the ministry immediately asked all schools to close of preventing the spread of the COVID-19. But now that the COVID-19 is not entirely out, but there have been a little breathing space as the health ministry and Enfield has been working behind the scenes to make sure we have. Schools can now resume. As schools resume, the county education officer have just told us there have been distribution to several schools in Nimba for a hand wash, center. There have also been armchairs provided where there won't be the issue of overcrowdedness or people sitting on the arms of chairs. Things we saw, post-pandemic, things that used to happen before the COVID-19 pandemic. So they have done this to prevent all of these things from happening. They have also trained several teachers, and the training and verification, biometric verification, is still ongoing. Lots and lots of information he has shared here today on the platform. Hopefully, in subsequent edition, we're going to be making follow-up with Mr. Moses Dulogbe to give us, progress report. He's not reporting to us, but however, he's going to be telling us the progress made from some of these plans or these plans that he has spoken about today on the program. However, on the next edition, we hope to be talking about something entirely different and something that we all can, learn about our education system as we go along. Therefore, to conclude here this evening on the program with just 3 minutes left on the clock, I just want to let you know that planning between both your job and the new school year for your child or your children is going to be a balancing act that parents have to master, because these are critical times. Not your neighbor children or other people's children might not have nose masks, but make sure your students or your children are carrying nose masks on campuses. Make sure that your children have hand sanitizers that they can use immediately when they enter campus and when they leave in campus, or during and after recess on their campuses. Make sure it is your responsibility as a parent to make sure that your child leaves your home safe before the health protocol being implemented on campus can happen. It is your responsibility as a parent to make sure that your child leave your home safe. crucial role they played with the supervision of Mr. Magda and everyone else on the crew here this evening. My name is Arlington Mackey saying many thanks for joining us, and bye-bye from my end. Until we meet next Friday.
Baba want to go to school. Ataya very fire go. Papa send me to school. Mama send me to school. Send me to school.